This week on Africa Weekly, we check in with a South African NGO who's using geolocalising technology to navigate the waterways of a floating slum in Lagos, creating a map that they hope will improve the lives of those living there. Then we head to northern Mali, where French forces are working to neutralise the threat of IEDs, improvised explosive devices. But first, let's take a look at the stories that made the headlines this week. Al-Shabaab Islamist militants claimed responsibility for a massive car bomb in the Somali capital Mogadishu that killed 81 people. The attack hit a busy checkpoint in the southwest of the city and is the deadliest assault in 2 years in the Horn of Africa country.
I was going to work as usual to earn money to feed my children, and this car bomb attack badly affected me. May Allah forgive our mistakes, and those who were killed, may their souls rest in peace.
Opposition leader Umaro Sissoco Embalo has won the presidential election in the volatile West African state of Guinea-Bissau, picking up just under 54% of votes. Guinea-Bissau's outgoing president José Mario Vaz wished a tearful Happy New Year to people and congratulated the nation for a peaceful day of voting.
No matter where I am, whether in Bissau, in my village, in my office, or in my rice field, every citizen, every leader, and all those who believe in Guinea-Bissau can always count on me, on my fraternal solidarity. I wish all Guineans a Happy New Year. Long live Guinea-Bissau. May God bless Guinea-Bissau and its people.
A Sudanese court has sentenced 27 intelligence agents to death for torturing and killing a protester at the start of 2019. It's the first time members of the security forces have been condemned to death in relation to the killing of protesters, whose movement toppled veteran autocrat Omar al-Bashir. The defendants were found guilty of killing teacher Ahmed Al-Khair Ahwad at an intelligence services facility. They've been sentenced to be hanged. Sudanese protesters first took to the streets just over a year ago, demonstrating against high bread prices. But the demonstrations soon turned into demands for Bashir to step down. He was eventually deposed in April. Turkey's parliament passed a bill approving a military deployment to Libya aimed at shoring up the UN-backed government in Tripoli. The beleaguered Tripoli government has been under sustained attack since April by military strongman General Khalifa Haftar, who is backed by Turkey's regional rivals Saudi Arabia, Egypt and the United Arab Emirates. The party of former Ivory Coast political leader Charles Blé Goudé has condemned his sentencing in absentia to 20 years in prison by an Ivorian court on murder, rape and torture charges. Blé Goudé was cleared of crimes against humanity at the International Criminal Court in The Hague, but following his acquittal, an Ivorian court brought a fresh trial against him over the 2010-2011 bloodshed, which followed a disputed vote in the West African nation.
Après qu'il a été jugé à la CPI, blanchi, acquitté.
Charles Blé Goudé cannot be tried a second time after he has been tried at the ICC, cleared and acquitted. So we think that Ivory Coast, the Ouattara government, wants to prevent him from returning to Ivory Coast and re-entering politics.
Pour faire la politique.
Algeria's president has met with Abdelaziz Djerad after appointing him as the country's new prime minister. Djerad, an academic with a doctorate in political science, has been charged with forming a new government. The new prime minister is no stranger to high office. He was Secretary General of the Presidency of the Republic in the early 90s and Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 2001 to 2003.
A floating slum in the Nigerian megacity of Lagos. Officially, this part of the city does not exist. You won't find these dingy canals and ramshackle huts indicated on any city maps. But John and his team are trying to change that. Armed with their location tracking smartphones, they crisscross these waterways, with the aim of putting Makoko and its approximately 300,000 inhabitants on the map.
We are going around with a team made up of girls from Makoko to actually collect points of interest within their neighborhood, within their houses, to put this on the map so we can have multi-layers of points of interest on this map. So we can see the streets and have easy navigation, and all of this can be on the map for free.
John works for South Africa-based NGO Code for Africa, the organisation behind this drive to map out the slum and improve the lives of those who live here. Every point of interest is carefully entered into the system, like Watanabo, a floating barber shop.
So we are putting your barbing salon on the map. Yeah, to be part of the points of interest that people will see. When they look at Makoko map, they will see Watanabo.
Without property deeds, or in many cases, even a legal existence, the inhabitants of Makoko live with the permanent threat of eviction. For this local traditional leader, appearing on a map for the first time is a step towards cementing his people's place here.
Before, in Makoko, we were in the dark. But now, with the work you have done, us traditional chiefs can see that you have done a good job. We are only fishermen. We didn't know how to mark out the different neighborhoods. We are very happy.
John believes that the inhabitants of this part of the city should have access to the same knowledge of their neighbourhood enjoyed by those who live elsewhere in Lagos.
All of this, we are still working on it, and when we are done, it will look like the rest part of Lagos here, where you can see streets, you see different places.
The public will now be able to see this neighbourhood differently, as the map is ready to go online. Treading with utmost caution, French soldiers go over this territory in northern Burkina Faso near the border with Mali with a fine-toothed comb. They must be hyper-vigilant to any sign of improvised explosive devices, or IEDs. Clues could come from anywhere: recently turned soil, an out-of-place wire, or even an abandoned motorbike.
There are signs, but then again you're never completely sure. You're always taking a risk.
These homemade bombs are simple to make and highly effective, and they're a major threat to soldiers fighting jihadists in Africa's Sahel region. IEDs have killed 13 out of the 41 French soldiers who have died in Mali since 2013.
We're seeing the creation of a constant state of insecurity which really hinders the actions and movements of the forces, because with every new deployment or mission, this threat has to be factored into our fears and our operational strategy.
In Gao, a small town in northeastern Mali, which is the French army's main operational base in the Sahel, the force has set up a specialized lab. Suspected devices are brought here for further examination.
It's just to ensure the safety of my comrades, because if it were to explode, better that there only be one or two injured rather than several.
All the objects are carefully deconstructed for further analysis. The aim is to build a clear picture of the methods used to better prepare the soldiers on the ground.
It's a pressure pad made with things found in the field that they're going to fit with a motorcycle tire, wire, and shards of glass from jars. They're going to assemble all of this to make a switch.
Fingerprints and DNA samples are also taken and passed on to other services to track down and arrest those who make the devices and put them in place. French troops hope to one day entirely eradicate this highly unpredictable threat.
And finally, hundreds of people demonstrated outside Morocco's parliament demanding the release of a journalist detained for criticising a judge in a tweet. Omar Radi was detained in Casablanca and immediately put on trial for the tweet about a judge prosecuting protest leaders. If found guilty of insulting a magistrate, the journalist could be sentenced up to a year in jail. That's all from us at Africa Weekly. Until next week.